Alright, so today we're learning about text. I started working on something for a friend of mine and I thought I'd teach you guys how to do that. Go ahead and let's open up a new document. Let's make this in inches so it makes it a little easier for me. I am going to be making a poster size print. So I want my width to be 11, my height to be 17, so it's 11 by 17 paper. Resolution right now is at 72, but for nice printing, we always want that like 300. But because of some restraints on our computers, let's do 200 for now. It's an odd one. Normally, you wouldn't have 200. Normally, it's just 300. Alright, so there's a couple things that you're going to need to do. First off, let's look at our layers. We have a background layer in there. I have already copied my texture I want, so I'm going to paste that in. And since it is the wrong size, I will just have to Control T like I have before. You can always shift to make sure it doesn't warp on you. If you want things to be exact, you can always change up here. I happen to get it exactly this time. Let's zoom in just to double check. Alright, things look pretty good. This is our old world paper. Looks pretty nice and nifty there. I might layer this, or title it paper. Alright, so we're going to make a wanted poster. So, first thing we need to do is create text at the top. So let's grab over our text tool, that little T area. Probably make that about that size. And I am going to be typing right in here. You see, it's really small though. So let's make this let's make it in the center. Let's put this a little larger. How about, I'll make it 150. I think that's probably, we might need to make that a little smaller. I happen to have a few fonts in here. You're going to have to pick your own. Dust West is my favorite, but I don't think you guys have that. So I'm going to do wanted. Oops, can't even see what I'm typing. Let's see. If that is the case, you'll just have to move this down a little bit while you're still in the text tool. If you move it down with your normal move tool, it will warp the text. Dead. Oops. Let's capitalize this. Or alive. Ooh, that is not how you spell alive. Alright, if we want to make this smaller, we just have to make that a little smaller. I'm going to make it down to 100. And we'll pull this one up. Let's see what happens with 200. Let's do 225. Gorgeous. So this is nice, but I kind of wanted a little bit of warp text. So back in our text tool, and I'm still on this layer, I'm going to go up here. This style, I can pick any one of these. I could do inflate. It would change it like that. You could do squeeze. You could do twist. You could do lots of different ones. I'm going to end up picking bulge. I can make this bulge down. That's kind of why I made it a little bit so big. I'm going to pull my bulge a little this way. You could also make it come from one side or the other. We'll pull it back down to 0. I think I want it just centered. And there I have some warped text. Now, wanted, dead or alive, let's get a picture in here. Let's find a really good one. You're going to be using your own picture. I'm just going to find one really quick online. Let's see what stock thief photo. You can be making your own. You know what? Let's just take him. You know what? How about this cowboy? Cowboy would be better. So right now, let's make this guy. I know he's owned by someone else, but let's see what happens. He's teeny tiny. But let's make him a little bigger, like we had before. He's a little pixelated, but you get the idea. You're going to use your own photo. Alright, enter. He's perfect, but let's give it a little bit of what he's done. And let's put that in a different kind of text. So if you want to put a text around a shape, there's a few things you can do. Our first one, let's collect our shape down here. I'm going to make it an ellipse tool. Why not? And I'm going to make sure it's on path. Go ahead and create your ellipse. You'll notice this is not a new layer right now because it's only a path layer. Let's take our tool again. You'll notice when I put it over top, it changes my cursor. And we're huge again. So let's pull this down to like, let's probably do like 48. Let's give him a name. How about Johnny the Kid? Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Johnny the Kid. But I think his name should be a little bigger than that. He's such a bad kid. You'll notice I'm on that path. You can, if you clicked on this side, it might be on over there. You can either space it out and recenter with some spaces, or if we click over here on our paths tool and go to our moving paths, you'll notice a couple things. Notice that as my cursor moves, the arrow moves on like what direction. I could have him going inside or outside of that shape. I'm going to keep him outside on there, but it might work if I was moving it to be on the other side. You know, what part he would be on. I'm going to keep it all the way back to the way I had it, because I like him like that. Now, you are not just limited to a path like this. Go ahead and click off of that. How about back on? So you notice that this path is still there. We can go in and delete the path if we wanted to, just to get that out of the way, as long as you were done with it. You can also go into your pen tool over here and do a freeform shape. So I'm gonna make it like that. Why not? And again, when you put your cursor over top, it will change. I'm going to go right in the center because I know if I start over here, the word's going to fall off the edge. And let's say he is guilty of stealing the cookies from the jar. Now you notice it went off a little bit, but we can add more with the pen, or we could just make a second line right there. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. Notice when I'm using this tool, it does stretch the entire thing. I can go back, oh, want to apply it. I can go back on here. I'm just going to say stealing the cookies. So you'll notice that that is on my own little path. And I can make as many as I want. I'm just going to duplicate this layer so you get the idea of what I'm talking about. We can put all these different little lines in here. You can even use a brush. You can find some Western ones online. Let's see if I find any cool ones. How about this? Remember, we have to be on a separate layer than a text tool. I want to keep him right about there. Or you know what? Let's bump up our opacity. Johnny the Kid. And I'm gonna, you can use a brush, you can use whatever you want. You could add a seal on here, which might look kind of cool. I think I made a button one at some point, but you get the idea. Alright, so, but you're saying, oh, well, the picture doesn't really look old. I'm going to duplicate my paper layer from my background, pull it up to the front. Notice I cannot see through it. You can change the opacity down. I could pull this on top there so all the text is above. Oh, want that, keep that full. There are a lot of different ways to add texture to your pieces. I'm going to go in my brightness and contrast and bump them up. Or actually, let's keep them like that. And I can also go back in with this here and maybe change my opacity down, bump the size up. We can kind of degrade that edge here. You can also burn it if you'd like, which I'll show you how in just a second. There, I've just kind of degraded that edge just a little bit. Let's take our burn tool. Oh, I always get confused about which one's which, but you know what, well, here's a burn tool. You'll notice it gets a little darker. Let's brighten that up. We can also just kind of burn that away because I changed it to highlights. But I kind of like using the eraser tool. Okay, so there is our wanted dead or alive poster. If I wanted this text, I could go back in with a stroke around it. Let's make it a color. You could do that. You could also do a granite overlay, which right now looks kind of silly like that. But if I wanted to change the overlay, maybe only give it slight tinge. Man, let's take away that stroke. You see it kind of gives a fade to it. That could look really cool. So you are doing your own wanted poster, and this is how I know that you know text. So you should have one that's used the regular curve tool here, one using a shape, one, at least one, doing the different drawing your own path, and then something on here where you have done a effect or an overlay of your text. So you have like a gradient, or you have an air shadow or a drop shadow or something like that, where we can change the size, we can change the distance, make it awesome. Okay, that's it. You should now know how.